In a nutshell, I remind everybody the theme is really you change the world, because it's been about now a couple of years that we have been talking about this theme one-on-one, and some groups of people here in this coaching practice. The theme comes back all the time. People have an impact that they don't even realize they do. And the fact is that making them aware of this impact that they have, and to the extent that they have stories they can tell and they can share to say, hey, I have a real impact on this person, or I changed that person's life completely. I'm not saying necessarily that you save the person's life, but it also happens. And it happens sometimes without you knowing. Stories. We have a short amount of time, and this short amount of time, my invitation of you, Pierre, is to share some of your experiences that you feel had a great impact on people. Is it something that inspires you?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I know you from for a couple of years, Andre. I know you're an amazing human being, and therefore you're a wonderful coach because you're a great person.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I did not look for that. I just wanted to to introduce you with a few words. So Pierre, for me, is not only someone who is extremely creative and an entrepreneur in essence, an entrepreneur, but is also French, like I am originally, if I'm not mistaken, and pretty worldly. And life experiences is all it's about, because that's what you carry on. If it's with people or if it's even alone, you can have an incredible impact. So based on that, Pierre, can you give us a little bit of a 1-minute update about where you stand, what you do? Let's focus on the profession.
So I'm an artist. That's really the person I am. No more, no less. Okay. So I knew I was an artist when I was 19 years old, and I started to paint. That was my medium. And because I was raised in a very conservative family where contemporary art was not seen under a positive light, well, I wanted to become an artist, to go to art school, to study art history. And my parents told me that there's no way I could do that I had to become an engineer and having a serious, decent, good job. And because I was a very weak person, very influenced by my parents, I say, okay, I'm going to do what my parents want to do. So I did a lot of studies. In the meantime, I was still painting and drawing. And at some point, I mean, it was in 1997, I kind of gave up doing art. So I resigned myself to do like a traditional corporate career. So I did a couple of things. I tried to become a businessman. I had zero interest in what I did being an entrepreneur. Right. Zero. Right. I didn't like it. It was not me. I just faked liking what I was doing. And I was keep drawing, painting without telling anybody. And right. Then it lasted for 30 years. Right. And in 2019, after like 30 years of intellectual misery and lying to everybody I met, everyone, I said, okay, I'm done with that. I have to show who I am, which is an artist. So I opened a website, started to show my work. And in 2021, it was last year, I started to produce crypto art, which is digital art forms. And then I started to get collectors. I started to sell my art. I started to be invited to art exhibition. I did an artist residency. Like in 6 months, my life completely changed because I started to be myself. So I stopped lying and I say, okay, now I am myself and this is it. And my life changed at that point.
Wow, 30 years it took for you, right?
Yes.
To connect to your core and say, okay, let me now reveal to the world who I am. And you know what? It's a great start, because this is where I ask people to start for connecting and for having an impact on other people and helping other people, supporting themselves in the authenticity, the sincerity, and being really who they are. This is really what coaching does. The first thing that we do is that. So I'm really glad you're sharing this with us. It's very courageous. So to jump and dive into this. So now, since you are yourself and since you show yourself out there, How do you think that's what the focus is today? Uh, you impacting people, how people receive you, how does it?
Well, when I put my very first artwork on a website for sale and I sold it in 1 hour, I was like shocked. So I'm using words. I'm considered. So it never occurred to me to categorize my art form. I was a painter, an artist, and then now people, my fellow artists and art curators, told me, okay, here is who you are. So people categorize me as a crypto poet.
Okay.
And I think it's beautiful, and I'm flattered by this like weird term, but it's so I'm using a language. I'm writing like small stories, basically, to make things simple.
Mhm.
And I post one of my first stories, and 1 hour after I sold it, then I put other stories, and like in 2 weeks, I sell 6 of these like short stories.
Right.
And I couldn't believe that anybody might be remotely interested in what I was writing. And I received comments, and extremely kind comments, from my collectors and from other artists and other people saying, I love your stories. I was so moved by what you're saying. I was like, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah,
And that's because I was 100% myself. There was no hiding, there was no lying. That was exactly me, and I had no expectation of any kind. I was just, okay, I'm going to be me, and people were like super emotional. And that's what makes me the most proud
yes,
in my life, to be able to have people say, I feel so much emotion. I was so much moved by the story you're telling.
can you just give us an example?
Okay, so I'm going to pick one of my stories here. I don't know them by heart.
You can even share, you can even share the screen if you want, just to have a little look.
Okay, so let me, yes, okay. So can you see my screen?
I can, absolutely, we all can, yeah.
Okay, so I created a series that was showcased in a crypto art, in a poetry gallery.
Right.
And the name of this recent series is called Income.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read, there are 6 pieces, so I'm going to read the first piece.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have friends with the same income, plus or minus 2%, the same equally socially valued type of job, the same car category, the same moderately high professional expectations, the same upper middle class type of home in the same relatively affluent neighborhood, so we can cry together without any shame.
Okay.
Then the next one,
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have friends with an extremely similar income, plus or minus 4%. And then it's the same part, and only the end changes. So we can have very meaningful conversation and share authentic smiles.
Miles.
And you have 6 pieces, and it starts by the difference of the income and the result in terms of social interaction. And I got a lot of people told me I was so moved by this story, and I was very humbled by this. What I'm doing is I try to explore the relation of power and the social dynamics of power, and topics that are really taboo in our society.
Yeah.
We all crave for social status, for power, for being important in front of other people, but we're not saying that publicly. What I'm trying to describe is my stories is just to remove all the artifice and the appearances and go right away to the core of our deepest desires and fears.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to ask you is a life-changing situation. If someone told you you'll change my life,
I mean, Not yet. I mean, I had really some, I'm using a lot Twitter.
Yes.
And I'm very active on the social media, and I'm constantly talking with a lot of people.
Right.
And I got like comments that really touch me to the heart. I'm going to release a new piece that I work on this piece for several months. So I show to a small group of artists to say, hey, I'm doing this piece. I'm very emotional about this piece. What do you think? I want to show to you guys before it goes public. And people, I got a really very nice comment. People like, oh my God, I was so moved. So I wouldn't say I changed anybody's life, but I can see that, you know, step by step. I'm very blessed to see that some people really, I create like an emotion and a connection.
So I would like to end with one little story. If you could share with us something that is very dear to you, about maybe a relationship with someone, a client, someone who bought your art, that was very clear about why that person, you know, was attracted to your creation.
That's a tough question. That's a very...
Try to remember one person and try to clip a story to this, please.
Wow, and we're live. I mean, and the magic happens on Twitter. So and I got all these emotional messages on Twitter by random people. Sometimes they're collector I know, they're artists I know, sometimes it's just random people who tell me, I was moved by one of your artwork. It made me see, it add a layer of depth to my thinking and my perception. Okay. And it makes me very proud because I had no idea my work could do that. I had just zero idea. And I'm just seeing that happening again and again. And I'm super proud of it. I just have no merit because I didn't create a piece to achieve that result, but I just see it happens. My job is to produce art. I am not thinking about anything else because I don't know how to think about any other thing than walking in a dark space and creating artwork. I am super proud when people say that they like my work, but I have no idea why. I have no idea if I would be able to replicate this. And I'm keep working and keep creating because that's the only thing I know how to do. Okay. That's it.
Okay, got it. Right. Well, so everybody now saw a sample of what authenticity is about. The very special creative person that we have with us this evening. And I hope we'll see you again, Pierre. And by the time we see you again, maybe by the time you see you again, I give you a little homework if you want to take it.
Sure.
It's to try to not when you create, but that feedback you receive on Twitter, right? It doesn't have to be you, but maybe someone who is close to you might be more curious about why that emotion, where does it come from? I don't know. Maybe it might influence your art also, that you might starting to understand why people are liking it and why it's moving something in their soul. You know, it's really, I would be curious about it, but thank you for sharing that. That's not that you're not curious, you are non-invasive.
Yes,
you don't want to bother, you don't want to annoy someone by showing curiosity and finding out, hey, why? So I understand. And me, it's not normal that I want to know. It's my profession to want. That's exactly what I want to know. Anyway, thank you again for accepting my invitation. And again, I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It was a pleasure to be on your show. I said much more that I wanted to say initially, so you pushed me to say more things. So I'm very grateful because you're a great interviewer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you, André. Bye-bye.
Bye.